Welcome to another video here on the Giant Take Podcast YouTube channel. We are here to talk about another Giants head coaching candidate, Patrick Graham. Now, Giants fans, this name might sound familiar to you because Patrick Graham is the defensive coordinator of the New York Giants. And if you didn't know that, well, you should look a little bit more into who's on the coaching staff right now for the Giants. Again, Graham has been the defensive coordinator of the team for the last 2 seasons. Alex and I will also get into his past as a coach around college and the NFL level, go into his experiences in those positions, for numerous teams. And then also at the end, we will give our thoughts. Is Patrick Graham, worthy of this head coaching position? Should he be the New York Giants head coach? So first of all, Alex, how are you?
I'm doing good. I'm excited to talk about Pat Graham. It's kind of an interesting one. It's our first in-house candidate for coaching that we've had in a while. Um, I'm excited to talk about him. He's an interesting candidate. Maybe not the most experience on paper, but I think he could make a decent head coach. But the question is, will he make a decent head coach for the Giants?
Right. And I think that's a big question to think about. I have stats from his 2 seasons with the Giants. Nothing like stands out from the stats that I have, but I think as Giants fans, you should know this past season wasn't as good defensively, wasn't as good in any aspect of the game, honestly, but wasn't as good defensively as we've seen 2 seasons ago with Joe Judge and Patrick Graham. The record doesn't reflect how good their defense was 2 seasons ago. They were able to beat the very good Seattle Seahawks at the time by just their defense because they didn't even have Daniel Jones starting. It was what's his name in Arizona now? Colt McCoy was the starting quarterback that day. And they were able to get it done by just running and defense, killer defense. So again, let's go through some stats. In the 2020 season, the Giants were ranked 6th in allowed touchdowns. They were ranked 3rd in team sacks, 5th in team solo tackles. And if you remember, Blake Martinez, the tackle leader that we signed that offseason, ranked 3rd in tackles. And we also, funny enough, have the Steelers requesting an interview with Patrick Graham for the same position in Pittsburgh. Alex, what do you think of this? Because I think we talked about on our new episode of the Giant Take Podcast, where you can find on Apple Podcast, Spotify, a bunch of other platforms, that Graham, the defensive coordinator job in Pittsburgh, is a little more appealing than the job sticking here with the Giants, unless you get hired as a head coach. It's a different story.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. When you're hired as a defensive coordinator, you want to go to a more prestigious defense, and I can certainly say that the Steelers are that. So I think they're better. You want to play, you want to, coach T.J. Watt, you want to coach Cam Hayward, etc. Those things are attractive, and I think if he cannot get this head coaching job, which we'll get to throughout when we talk more about his qualifications, he's certainly not the favorite. Then yeah, I think that might be a nice move for him, but in the aspect of this in this video, we're talking about him as a head coach. I think that's where his goal will be, but I think it's not really realistic, as we'll get to.
And going on top of that, no offer from other teams about a head coaching position available have reached out regarding an interview. So it's just that defensive coordinator position available in Pittsburgh. So let's talk a little bit about 2021. In 2021, the defense kept getting kept the Giants competitive. This is from Giants.com. I have a few little quotes from them. In several games when the offense struggled to score points, despite the short or long-term loss of Blake Martinez, Jabril Peppers, Logan Ryan, Adoree Jackson, and Lorenzo Carter due to injuries or COVID-19. Although the Giants finished 21st in the NFL by allowing 354.8 yards per game, they were 11th after giving up an average of 5.3 yards per play. And another quote here from Giants.com, Tate Crowder, the 255th and final selection of the 2020 NFL Draft, stepped in for Martinez to call plays in the huddle and led the Giants with 130 tackles. Second-year safety Xavier McKinney had a team-high 5 interceptions and won an NFC Defensive Player of the Week award. Azeez Ojulari led the team and finished second among NFL rookies with 8 sacks. So, some quotes there coming from Giants.com about this Giants defense. There was also that the defense this season was 12th in the NFL by allowing 349.3 yards per game after finishing 27th at 337.3 yards the previous season. It's interesting. It was their best defensive finish since 2016 when they were 10th in the league by allowing 339.7 yards per game. Giants opponents averaged just 5.3 yards per play. The NFL's 9th lowest figure. Alex, a lot of talking from me. Your thoughts on all that?
When you're looking at this Pat Graham defense, you saw a lot of soft zone, hence why the low yards per play. Partially, we played, good defense throughout most of his tenure here as the Giants defensive coordinator. What I will say, what's most impressive is this defense doesn't really have like a X factor. If you want to call Leonard Williams one, then go ahead. But besides that, and he really didn't perform this season, it's impressive what he's able to do with this group of players. There's no one really who's a big difference maker on this team. And that's what's really impressive about Pat Graham. He was able to scheme our defense in a way that still made it competitive, despite maybe not the players individually being at the best levels at their positions or the highest stature at their positions, whether that be cornerbacks, linebackers, defensive linemen, edge rushers, particularly how he's able to scheme pressure despite us not having great pass rushers. Certainly something that's impressive. And it really goes to show, like you mentioned about the Steelers' opportunity. Imagine what he could do with someone like TJ Watt, who is a top defensive player.
So that leads us to the final part of this video. Well, so should Patrick Graham be the head coach of this New York Giants team? So Alex and I, well, you could speak for yourself. We discussed Patrick Graham. We kind of feel bad for Patrick Graham. He deserves to get a head coaching job somewhere else. With the New York Giants, though, I'm not so certain. It came out actually tonight when we're recording this Wednesday night that Brian Daboll seems to be the front runner or favorite for the, Miami Dolphins job. So that's a big deal, especially when Daboll is getting 2 interviews with the Giants. So they might have a competitor with the Dolphins there. Something to think about. Patrick Graham, though, my answer, he's not on the top of my list. Although he is the top of my defensive coordinators. If we were going to select one between him, Dan Quinn, and Lou Anarumo, the Bengals defensive coordinator, Dan Quinn being the Cowboys defensive coordinator, I would pick Graham above those 2 guys. But for a head coaching position, I would not have him. I would rather him stay as the defensive coordinator than be promoted to the head coach.
Yeah, my thoughts on Graham. I think he's an extremely talented, extremely smart football coach. I think he has a lot of potential in this league. I think he will be a good head coach. I don't quite think he has the experience yet to be a head coach. Maybe a couple more good years as a DC, and you can see that happening. But I don't think he's quite qualified yet. So as someone like Dan Quinn is. That's the only thing I say. But he has a real bright future ahead of him. He's an extremely smart coordinator, and I think he'll be a really good coach in the future. And we've seen what he did with this Giants defense, how he turned it around from one of the worst defenses in the league into one of the best defenses in the league without even any really key contributors coming in.
Almost completely forgot to run through his resume. That was close. So let me run through that for defensive coordinator Patrick Graham. He started off at Wagner for the 2002-2003 season as a graduate assistant. Went on to go to Richmond in the 2004 season as the defensive line coach there. Got promoted, I guess, to the tight ends coach in the 2005-2006 season. Then went to Notre Dame as their graduate assistant from 2007 to 2008. Went on to Toledo in 2009 as their defensive line coach. Then got all the way to the NFL with the Patriots. We know that he had experience there. As their coaching assistant in 2009, 2010, the defensive assistant for the Patriots, Then in 2011, the linebackers coach. Then he was the defensive line coach from 2012 to 2013 in New England. The linebackers coach from 2014 to 2015. Came to the New York Giants for a little bit of time. I don't know if anyone remembers that. He was the defensive line coach for the Giants in the 2016 and 2017 season. Went to the Packers in 2018 as their linebacker coach and run game coordinator, as well as the Miami Dolphins defensive coordinator in 2019. Giants brought him in before the 2020 season. He's now the assistant head coach and defensive coordinator. Okay, we've run through everything. So with that, thank you so much for watching this video here on the Giant Take YouTube channel, and subscribe below, drop a like, and in the comments also below, I'll use the finger pointing again, but in the comments below, let us know what you think of Patrick Graham. Should he be the head coach of the New York Giants? Is he a good candidate for the position, since there's a bunch of them? And you let us know there. We will have another video coming soon on Brian Flores, another head coach candidate for the New York Giants. But for now, again, thank you so much for watching. We will see you next time for another episode or video. Brian Flores. Peace.